We're recording. And we are live. Welcome to the RINO podcast, episode 38, with our very special guest, Justin Dean Lee, associate editor of Arc Digital, contributor to Vice, First Things Magazine. Justin, welcome to the RINO podcast. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Very good. Very good. Last night in New England, we had a windstorm and it was raining and windy. So I put off all my raking. I've learned my lessons as a homeowner for about 8 years. It's like you can wait till the very end. You're asking for trouble if you try to keep up every weekend, and it's just heartache and your body falls apart. So all the leaves are just about down. And woke up this morning, went out, solid 3 hours of raking everything up. Mm-hmm. Backyard looks fantastic. And then I went in, had some lunch, and then I painted our new family room today. And then I'm podcasting with you fine people. I've taken a Leave liquid gel because my 45-year-old ass is so sore. And I'm drinking. This episode is sponsored by Budweiser, not sponsored by Budweiser,
but not really. So.
Not really. So we ordered takeout tonight because usually we cook Sunday and have family dinner on Sunday. But I was just like, we're calling it in this time because I just do not have the energy to cook anything. How are you, Caitlin?
I'm doing good. I had a busy weekend. I had to work Friday and Saturday all day. I worked from like 9:30 to 9 at night.
Boo. Saturday work.
So I'm sore from actually working all day yesterday. But yeah, it's all good.
Excellent. My daughter made it to the championship game of, youth soccer. Lost 1-0. It was a nail biter. You never thought grade school girls soccer could be that exciting, but it actually when they're in a tight game and they're actually kicking the ball a fair way down the field, it can be somewhat interesting. So, folks, go to patreon.com/rhinopod, only $1 a month. We just recorded a great episode with Justin on conservatism. Its impact or how it's being impacted by the Integralist Project. Very good, deep, in-depth discussion, and I encourage you all to check it out. That's where we like to pick things apart a little bit more and give you things that you might not otherwise see out there in podcast land or even definitely in the mainstream media. So, Caitlin, what do we have on deck for this week for our guest Justin, where we can practice our own little Zoom punditry?
Oh, okay. Well, do you want us to start on the Build Back Better bill and how Joe Manchin came out and said for the people of West Virginia that he's very worried about inflation?
Now,
and we discussed this kind of on the Patreon podcast where we were talking about how the Freudian death cycle or death move towards unfettered spending that the Democrats are currently doing.
What somebody tell me, one of you guys, what is Build Back Better up to now? What's the price tag of it? I haven't checked.
I think it's over $1T. I don't remember the exact price, but it's over $1T.
Justin, because I heard like $3.5 trillion or something like that, something ridiculous. Yeah. I mean,
I think they talked it down from that to try to accommodate Manchin, but I don't know. I mean, it's just it's a gazillion dollars. That's what matters, is that it feels like a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot of money for solar panels, Jeff. I mean, I think it's under 2 right now, but it's over 1.75.
Somebody fill me on this, because I don't like to use the phrase "I don't understand," but I genuinely don't understand this aspect. Is it just a play to get more social welfare spending? Because does any part of the progressive's brain think that Build Back Better will do good things, their conception of good things, because we literally don't have the money for it. We're going to print this money into existence and spend it and put it out into the economy for whatever they can think up. Now, if they think that's going to do good, wouldn't the inflationary aspects of that completely have the opposite effect? I mean, and we know it will. We know because we have brains in our heads. But do you think that's beyond? What is this about? Because
it's about clientelism. It's so. I mean, the Democrats are, their whole party is made up of clients, like teachers unions, et cetera. And this bill is going to fatten the pockets of key constituencies across the country. That's all this is about. It's not about helping people. It's about shoring up the power of progressive institutions that that feel like they're losing their grip. And in some ways you can call this trying to rewrite the social compact, because it's basically more than has ever happened, attempting to use government money to subsidize the power of progressivism over and against their opponents.
Well, I mean, Jeff, look at the way that they're adding the SALT deduction back in. I mean, they're literally giving a tax cut to New York State millionaires. So they are able to deduct their property taxes and their state and local taxes from their federal taxes in New York. I mean, they're giving money to millionaires. Like, that's insane.
Even though I'd make out better if SALT's reinstated, I'll make out a lot worse. I'll make out a lot worse if 3.5 or another $1 trillion is pumped into an already overheated economy. This is why
you have to look at the harm. I mean, you making $5,000 back is not going to be the same as us inflating prices with another spending bill of another $1T. And that point, I mean, you have to think about what the GDP of our entire country is, and you're injecting 1.75 back into it. I mean, that's almost $17 trillion in the last 2 years that they're injecting into our economy.
That we don't have.
Yeah, it's artificial fiat.
But this is the thing. I mean, I can sort of on a just intellectually comprehend the idea that they want to fatten the pockets of their constituency. Okay, I get that, but by printing that money, everybody gets screwed. Like the unions get screwed, even the millionaires.
We're not talking about rational people.
Okay, it is like so. There is like there is a discount. They don't get it, right? They don't get that just spending this even on their constituencies. It screws their constituencies and everybody because we don't have the money.
Yeah. I mean, when you have bad fiscal policy, who are you hurting the most? I mean, like, you're not really hurting the rich. The rich will protect their own money and they can do whatever they want. They can afford to even hide it or do whatever. They're hurting the working class, the lower tax brackets with bad fiscal policy. And so, it's very concerning. I mean, it's just scary.
Now, Justin, you're out there in sunny California. Why?
Well, it's a good question. I got into my first pick grad school back in 2011 and came out here to become a fiction writer. And after grad school, I managed to stay on at the University of California, Irvine, and teach writing. So I'm now in my eighth year full time doing that.
Oh, okay. And, all right. Well, let's hope you don't get canceled.
Well, if they will have, it would not work out in their favor if they try to get rid of me for a political reason. You see, like I'm one of those weird conservatives that loves unions and works for my union, and say what you want about the decay of public institutions, but we still have very robust First Amendment protections and very robust protections for academic freedom. So once you're in and have some kind of a security of employment, um, you know, yeah, it'll cost them a lot if they were to try to.
Are you seeing a pushback in the academy, or starting to maybe a bit of a groundswell? I'm seeing things come across my news feed. I'm seeing the University of Austin being created. I'm seeing um, a fair amount of articles in legacy media
Mhm.
about academics pushing back, and
Yeah.
I saw something. Maybe it was the Times or maybe Washington Post, about how academics are trying to reclaim, the academy, and taking it away from the woke nonsense that we're seeing. Is that it? Are you seeing more of that, or are still people very scared? Or a little.
People are pretty scared. So the people that you see really pushing back have tenure. They tend to be more senior. They have great track records, and they have a kind of moral authority, that has been earned over decades of work. And um, and in some ways, they can afford to push back harder. They have more cover. But me, I mean, like, I'm a contingent faculty member. I mean, I have, a measure of security of employment, but a lot of people in my position don't. They're year to year contracted,
Mm.
and they can just get not renewed for almost any reason. And so, the precarity of that kind of labor dynamic ensures that people don't rock the boat. And because so much of the university system across the country has shifted towards contingent labor, a majority of the people doing the teaching are in precarious situations, where they are not able to speak truth, even if they want to, because they can just not get renewed,
Mm.
and then be pushed back into, an utterly unforgiving labor market in the
So
academy.
who makes? I mean, like the university president, or somebody makes that call, and they say, all right, you know,
You mean
professor.
regarding?
I mean, like about whether they're coming back or not, or like, hey, this person, heard they knocked Joe Biden the other day. We got to get rid of him, or something like that. That I would do that. Is that the conversation that takes place, or is it usually some annoying professor who raises a stink to the administration, or does the administration just cow to the loudest complainers?
So at least at UCI, this hasn't been a problem, and or at least within my area, and some of that is just how strong our union is, and the fact that we have, during the rehiring process, in the decision room, we have to have a union member present for that decision. And so it would be a direct violation of our union contract if anything political was used as a decision. And we have people who are watchdogs on that.
Oh, that's good. All
So
right.
so it could happen, but it would have to happen very, very quietly behind the scenes. It would take coordination. It couldn't just kind of arise organically within the review process.
Interesting. So why are
Yeah.
people so scared then?
Um, I mean, it's because it's still a problem. It's still, no one wants to have people protesting at your classroom.
Okay.
You
Okay.
don't,
Yeah.
no one wants to um, cause problems with your colleagues. And it's a I have colleagues reach out to me, um, occasionally, just to let me know that they're grateful that I do what I do, that I just I write whatever I think is true, and I just don't care. And um, but I know several people in my department who simply cannot feel that they do not have the power to speak up, even about things that um, are pertinent to our students' education. And um, and my department compared to a lot of departments across the country, is very healthy, and is not politically radical in the way you see in some places. But the whole national mood impacts people, even in places, where they have, enhanced security compared to other schools.
Hmm.
Um,
I didn't realize the physical safety aspect of it, or at least the intimidation factor was at play with
yeah, well,
students demonstrating and things like that. I mean, that I could see how that would be a problem. I mean, Caitlin knows this, and I like the conflict, and I wouldn't mind that at all. I'd have a great time if that happened. But that's just me, But I could definitely see how that would be off-putting to folks, and that would who wants to be protest, right? From some. I was about to say the R word but for our guest, some R-worded sophomore who just is in there, who just read Howard Zinn and thinks that America is evil. I mean that's just like it's typical. And it's and I get it, right? I get it, which is why people don't say anything at work when these ridiculous seminars about whiteness come up, and like how and by the way, those are real firsthand knowledge of these things coming around about let's explore your whiteness. Really? Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad. Well, one, I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure your colleagues appreciate it. I think more people are going to start to, because I think some of them have just had enough. I think it just takes once you realize that they're just bullies. A lot of them. Yes, there is a grotesque undercurrent of Marxism and full-throated communism in some aspects going on, no doubt. But a lot of it is just social bullying, and the what you cannot cow to a bully. You have to just stand up to them, get right back in their face, in all these aspects, and they'll back down. And that's the thing. That's the freeing part about it. When you're afraid to stand up in these situations, if you go at it and you just embrace that, no, I'm doing the right thing here, and you don't back down, you get right back in their face. That can be freeing. You're free of the fear at that point. Like, yeah, okay, they may come back after you, but you know what? You'll have set the example, and a better thing will be down the road for you, no doubt. And that's not to anybody, that's the folks listening and watching, not to Justin. I'm just saying, stand up, stand your ground, speak your mind. Do not be afraid.
Yeah, but do so strategically. I mean, it's, there, not every hill is worth dying on. And, and that's one of the problems, with the discourse right now is, people, get, keep their heads down for a long time, and pressure builds up. And then finally, they just can't take it anymore, and they make a stand on just the dumbest shit in the world. And it's just, don't do that. If you're going to make a stand, like especially within academia, make sure it's something substantive about the good of your students' education. I mean, be strategic. If it's something that directly is impacting your students' learning, and you stand up for them, there's incredible moral authority there, because you're doing the right thing, as opposed to simply just publishing an op-ed, that is going to get people hot under the collar. There are wise stands, and because they're wise, they're more virtuous. But anyway,
it's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm glad. I mean, it sucks for the real estate prices, though, because I don't know how you're going to afford to buy a home or buy property. And but if the collapse comes, I think California will be the first to go, because it's teetering on the brink as it is.
I like to say that spiritually, we've already had the big one and broken off into the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say you might be better off if it does fall into the ocean, but I think you're on the beach, so I won't say that. And because
It'll be
My
fun. It'll be
my
exciting, whatever it is.
my parents lived in Van Nuys in the 80s and they paid $1,600 for a 2-bedroom apartment.
ooh, in the 80s?
In the 80s. In Van Nuys. And we're not talking about Sherman Oaks. We're talking about Van Nuys here. Yeah. Isn't that insane?
Yeah. That's about what I'm paying for 1 bedroom.
Oh my
One
God.
bedroom, Jeff. That's like New York.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
1 bedroom.
Hey, it's a nice bedroom.
Well, yeah. It's nice. You're in Newport Beach, but like
3
Van
blocks
Nuys
from the water.
to the water.
Well, if the University of Austin is watching, consider hiring this man, Justin Deanley.
Well, no, Austin's just as bad, but not.
But he can
starting-
afford to buy a house, maybe.
Well, yeah, my friend paid about 400, I think 25K. It's not bad. It's not California. Shit.
Well,
Yeah.
Austin. Well, look, California is falling apart because of liberalism. Austin,
Yep.
Austin is a dump because of liberalism. New
Yep.
York is a dump because of liberalism and progressivism. I mean, I'll just say I'm conflating the two, but it's really both.
Yeah.
That caused the downfall of these really nice places. So, you know, I can honestly say that I don't know where I'd recommend you move to, and for your next gig, but you know,
Got my eye on Montana, maybe Tennessee.
Ooh,
I've
very
heard
pretty.
good Tennessee is a lot of people.
Franklin's very nice. It's like what, like 45 minutes from Nashville with traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can get a sweet piece of property in Tennessee. There's lots of places across the country. And this is the thing, the mass exodus from the blue states. I mean, California is the people who are high earners are fleeing California. Even if you're not a high earner, you're fleeing California. If you have kids, you're fleeing California.
Yep.
Which is, you know, I part of me says it's a shame, but like with just how awful Gavin Newsom is, I'm just kind of like, I could keep it, you know. If people voted to keep him in, I mean, obviously you didn't, but you know,
that recall was a mess.
but you can't. But they just,
we never. I mean, we need smoke-filled rooms again. You know, someone like Larry Elder never should have had a shot at this. We just needed a milquetoast cipher of a Republican to just say, "I'm not this." One of the best things I've heard recently about Gavin Newsom was that the oil spill that happened, you know, right where I'm at, you know, off of Newport, wasn't an oil spill. It was just Gavin Newsom going for a swim with his. Yeah.
He's a horrible box of hair. He really just is. He's
all teeth.
Oh
yeah,
God.
He's Patrick Bateman on the West Coast. You know, he's a total sociopath. He's a swinger. I'm not going to tell you why I know that. It's just
that's been going around for a while now. It's not like it's like
yeah. He's
secret.
He's an absolute scumbag.
The follows I have on Twitter, like they are getting like, well, first of all, you got Hollywood out there, so all these actors and I hear this and I don't know what to believe and if it's bullshit or not, but that they're into like devil worship, like the actors are, you know, Satan, Church of Satan people, and like into really like gross, awful, disgusting stuff, and I'm sure a lot of them are, but I don't even know if it's just a part of Hollywood or if it's like legitimately anything associated with like devil worship and the Church of Satan, because I take all that with a big spoonful of salt when I see it, because it's just like there's some kooky people out there who like to, you know, start these
I met some recently, or met one recently. I was at a bar not too far from here. Met a woman whose brother is a comedian, and you know, kind of like a C or D lister. And so she was pretty sauced, and she was telling me that, you know, he publicly is an atheist, but privately is a Satanist, and He did it to advance his career in Hollywood, and
Who
that
is
he
it?
had, I'm not going to give you the name.
An unnamed actor. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll tell you privately, not on the
All right,
feed.
we're gonna clip this into the 2-minute thing,
Yeah.
but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so the crazy thing she told me was that he hit a glass ceiling for how high he could go, um, at least within his particular set that he was involved in, because he wouldn't molest children. Yeah,
Jesus
and
Lord.
so this is a
I
woman telling a guy at a bar this story about her brother. She was pretty earnest. A little bit of googling confirmed that this is indeed her brother, and who knows? It was
well,
fascinating.
look, okay, look, I'm not here's where I would say that I have no doubt that
Yeah,
the sick pedos out there are
yeah,
into that stuff. Like that's probably, yeah, that part's
yeah,
unfortunately the horrific part is probably true. The
yeah,
fact that he hit a glass ceiling, if he didn't do that to be a part of the
yeah,
Church of Satan part, that's where I
yeah,
go, okay, it's probably a bit more of a stretch. Like where
yeah,
he was like, oh well, I'll worship the devil,
yeah, yeah,
but I won't touch kids and that. Like, well,
yeah.
okay, good on you, you fucking freak.
Yeah,
But
I'll drink this kid's blood, but I won't screw it.
oh
Yeah,
god,
it's
that's
just
that's gross.
yeah.
Yeah. No, my
Welcome to
parents would tell
Hollywood.
me crazy stories about when they used to live out in California all the time. My
Mhm.
dad was Dave Navarro's high school history teacher.
No
From
kidding, you never told me that.
I never told you that? Yeah.
No.
He was, yeah, at where he used to teach. He was Dave Navarro's high school history teacher.
I could see that guy lighting some candles and walking
Yeah.
around in
My
a
dad
dark
liked
hood.
him. My dad liked him. This was before the school turned co-ed, so it was all boys at the time. And yeah, he was his high school history teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I
Went
don't
to
know.
a few of his earlier gigs.
He's into that whole, I don't know, goth look of,
Mhm.
but that to me, I don't know. Maybe some of them are sincere, but it just
It's
seems
mostly theater.
yeah. I was gonna say performative. It just seems performative to like
Yeah.
get a reaction from, the I don't know, guess Bible Belt types that they want that kind of shock reaction for. Like,
We do have a groundswell in this country right now of practicing witches, though, and
well,
like
hang
I
on, time out,
live in
Justin.
Salem, so I know
Yes,
about that.
wait, Caitlin, did you tell him where you live?
I live in Salem, Massachusetts.
great.
It's
And that
like,
is very legitimate and very real. The practicing witches of this area. And yeah, it's very real.
well, there's this show on Netflix, Cast Ye Out Demons on Netflix, although I'm going to go watch Narcos after we get off this episode. That, and I struggle with this because, I'm Catholic, we're a Catholic family,
Mhm.
and there's a show called The Good Witch or Good Witch or
Okay.
something like that. And it's very wholesome and it's soap opera-y and it's PG. It's not like anything
Mhm.
weird, but they throw the like witchcraft shit in there.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of like, I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, yeah, what do you mean with spells? What are you talking about here? And it's like,
No, they do it. It's like legit.
no, I know that's the problem because it's like this is glorifying it, and she goes, yes, I know it's against
They
the
like
church and
set
things
it-
like that, but they're watching it anyway, and I'm kind of like, all right, I don't want my daughter like thinking that I don't want my daughter to be a goth kid. Oh God,
Yeah.
when she becomes a teenager, I'll have failed if she comes home with like dyes her hair black and black lipstick. That's just like you look at that and you look in the mirror and go, you failed as a father, because it's just like they should have the confidence to not have to do that ridiculous nonsense. But I struggle with that because it's like, okay, am I really going to draw the line? Like you talk, I mean, I forget it was this episode or the other or your other episode. Oh, it was this episode, Justin, where you said pick and choose your battles. Like,
Mhm.
am I really going to fight the fight over Good Witch on Netflix as far as to draw the line of, all the crap that, she's watching? Probably.
Or am I going to really draw the line on the really crazy witch stuff in Salem?
Yeah.
when they're like super serious, not like the hokey touristy stuff.
Mm. Speaking of hokey, Kamala Harris is
Or
perhaps
speaking of witches,
hokey witches. Kamala Harris, our illustrious vice president, who I swear to God, I have never seen a more awkward fucking person in my life. She is cringeworthy at every step. Everything she says is so forced and so disingenuous. And I think, do you think, I think she might be like pilled up or something. I don't think it's booze, but
I think she's genuinely that. So she's, first of all, dishonest. Second of all, she's that personally awkward. Her personality. Well, Justin knows about her because she used to be Justin's senator.
Right. She used to be your senator.
like so it's the same kind of thing with Hillary, where like if you're the kind of person who morally has placed yourself in this moral position where you literally have to calculate everything that you say and do rather than just living and being a person, it's gonna feel off. There's gonna be an uncanny valley of just spiritual darkness, and
that's exactly what it is. It's uncanny valley. She's so awkward with everything she tries to put out there.
It's so calculated. That's exact. I actually came into our previous filming of the Patreon episode watching Norm Macdonald shitting on Hillary Clinton for 30 minutes. So,
it's so good. It's just good. It's spiritually cleansing. Norm Macdonald
I miss Norm. He's so great.
Well, I first started because I was
driving
with Norm Macdonald shitting on OJ, but then it went into Hillary Clinton. So I had a great afternoon of hilarity. But yes,
Kamala him 3 times out here.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
At the Comedy Store?
Not at the Comedy Store. Twice at Irvine Improv, and then one at someplace in Brea.
Nice. Yeah,
the
Clintons, they killed somebody. Yeah, you didn't hear about that? Norm, what are you talking about? Yeah, they killed somebody.
Like Operation Frayed Wires. Why didn't this go through? Why didn't Hillary die? And it was ordered by. It's always like Bill Clinton. Why his wife couldn't be murdered, or like something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All the jokers, Bill's like trying to get rid of Hillary. So
weekend update.
Yeah.
But
Kamala Harris, she was in Paris this week.
Right, and she faked a French accent. Like, not even French. She didn't even bother to speak French. Like your high school French. Try. Or if you studied a Romance language, give it a shot. She spoke in a fake French accent. Who the fuck does that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I don't remember if she was with Macron when that happened. I'm sure his wife would be cringing hardcore. But yeah, she did that. And then I guess I read this tweet where it was like, oh, she went to Paris, but gaff free.
that nothing she does is gaff free. Nothing.
Well, so in her defense, she is such a political chameleon that she probably just absorbed the sound of the French language while she was there, and it just happened naturally.
Yeah, right. There for 24 hours, like Madonna when she was married to Guy Ritchie. She came back with a British accent.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right. So one more thing I wanted to ask you, Justin, before we hop off here. What are you thinking for if we speculate for? Obviously, the 2022 election, now that Virginia and New Jersey are over with, we're going for 2022 and then 2024. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on that we got coming up? Pure rank punditry.
Yeah, my rank punditry is that 2022 is going to be an absolute bloodbath. If 2018 was the blue wave, this is going to be the blood dim tide. It's going to be intense, but Republicans are dumb as rocks, and they're really good at wasting a good hand. And so, they can either learn the lesson of Virginia and keep Trump at a distance, or they can lose. And it's that simple. Keep him reined in, keep him off stage, tweet, kind of like, massage his ego behind the scenes just enough so that he is not interfering, and you're going to sweep. And don't let him run in 2024, and Ron DeSantis is going to win in an absolute landslide.
That's our man.
Yeah.
Indeed. I agree with that. And what I see more of now, I said this on the other episode, I'm seeing more people who were a bit more Trump sympathetic than myself or Caitlin, maybe yourself, who were a bit more Trumpy, but not like diehard Trump supporters, pushing back and go, yeah, no, we'll lose if we nominate him. Let's nominate somebody else. Like, and they're saying it openly, not like in public. Like, no, Trump's the past. We're moving on.
And even Chris Christie has come out pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
This week against him.
Not too many people, unless they're financially invested or politically invested in Trumpy-like activity. Everybody else is kind of getting to that. It's taking time, but certainly by 2022 they'll be there, and after that he'll be an afterthought. We've seen the episode. The sequel is not as good as the original. We know what we're gonna get. And he's going to talk about 2020 way too much, and people are just going to be like, "Dude, shut up." And that's it. That's
the metaphor I use is that, he was the battering ram that broke down the gates of the Republican establishment, and if you're going to sack a city, you don't carry the battering ram through the streets. You got to drop it at the gate, and so like we got a lot of people who still want to drag it through the streets, and I'm just hoping that they're going to get tired and let go of it.
And on that note, I think we'll leave it right there. It was a great episode. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. We'll love to have you back on it in the future. If you're watching this on the podcast, maybe Justin retweeted it, but if not, go follow Justin at Justin Dean Lee. Check out his writings in First Things magazine. Go over to patreon.com/rhinopod. Sign up for $1 a month, you cheapskates. It is so good. We had a phenomenal conversation about conservatism and integralism on this episode. We'll be putting that up shortly. We always appreciate our patrons. And, that's pretty much it. All right. Say goodbye, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.